This video is brought to you by Megalopolis City of Collectibles.
It's morphin' time!
Don't forget to head over to megalopolis.toys for all of your more phenomenal Power Rangers action figure needs, including things like the Power Rangers Lightning Collection from Hasbro. Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka BatBomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, King Sphinx. Now, taking a look at the front, we can see that the figure is showcased in a larger scale Lightning Collection window box packaging. Turning the box around, we can see a really cool image of the character. So with the box out of the way, let's crack this figure open and see what we have inside. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at King Sphinx here. I cannot begin to describe how excited I am to get King Sphinx in the Lightning Collection. Fun fact, this is actually one of my all-time favorite villains. I've always had an affinity for Egyptian type things, you know, like the Great Pyramids and the Pharaohs and things like that, and the Great Sphinx. And I always remember reading books about them when I was a little kid. So when I saw this guy in Power Rangers, I was like, oh my god, that is the coolest villain ever. I love that. And I've always wanted just an awesome King Sphinx figure, and we finally have this guy in the Lightning Collection. Here's the thing though, I have a lot of issues with this figure. Let's go over the positives first here. I think the head sculpt looks really good. I think that all came out really nice. The eyes, the sculpt, the little bit of that airbrushing on there to darken it up around the cheeks like that, all look really good. The little chin strap coming off his chin, and the headdress with the snake, all that looks really good. But of course, the biggest thing is going to be the lack of paint. This is an issue I feel so strongly about, because Hasbro has been lacking in paint for this line. That's honestly something that upsets me beyond belief. We've had so many issues with lack of paint in a lot of figures, and this is a big one for me. His nose isn't painted, his mouth isn't painted. That just looks ridiculous to me. It doesn't look like the same character. He doesn't have that almost like facial features the way it should look. And people say, oh, it's an easy fix, not a big deal, or it's not that bad. It's bad, and I shouldn't have to fix it. That's a big issue for me, and I will end up painting it, but it just upsets me that they didn't paint it off the bat. And again, that goes with a lot of things with this whole line. I feel like Hasbro just doesn't. I don't know, are they having just issues with paint? They just don't care to add certain paint apps. I don't know, but this is a major thing for me that really bothers me, and I don't want to see this in the future. I want these toys to be awesome. I want this line to succeed. I want this line to move forward and give me everything. But if they're going to be slipping in things like this, that feels very Bandai-ish, and that's the reason I couldn't collect a lot of Bandai Power Ranger stuff, for issues that just bother me. And this is one of those things. So maybe I'm ranting too much, and I honestly don't care, because this is how I feel. I want my toys to have the proper paint apps, and this isn't it. So, okay, rant over. It is what it is. First, the sculpt looks really good. I love the shoulder pads here, all the sculpting on there, and on the chest looks really nice. The eye looks really good. The colors are a little off, but not too bad. They still look pretty cool. It still looks like King Sphinx. The skirt piece looks really nice too. I love that right there with the little Ankh symbol on there, looking really good. I love the texture of like the skin and things like that, look really good. The knees into the feet, his clawed toes look really cool. There is an airbrushing in there, so I love that. And there's like this turquoise hue to this, and you can see it again here, and then the abs right there. So that's interesting. I don't remember if that's on the show or not. I'll have to go back and look up references, but still looks really cool. The wings look really nice, so I love those. These wings were a pain in the butt to get in. You have to really push them in there to make sure they're locked in place. But they hold on there finally. I was having so many problems with that, but I finally got them in there properly, and they work great. He also has his tail, which looks really good, so I love that. So very cool looking thing. Now, one of my other major issues with this He is freaking huge. I have no idea why they made him so big. And you'll see size comparisons later, but he is a monster compared to like Goldar here. In the show, they're basically like the same size. So why did they make these guys so ridiculously different? That right there, I could even let the whole lack of paint pass, because that is something I can fix. I can't shrink this guy down to a proper size. I feel like they made him this big just to charge us deluxe prices. And then we don't even get the proper paint with those deluxe prices. He's way too big. And you could give me any excuse you want to. He's just not this big in the show. He doesn't scale well with the Goldar. He doesn't scale well with the other Rangers. He is too ridiculously big for the other toys in this line. So I don't understand that. Again, I could look past the paint, but I cannot look past the size. Does that take away from it being a bad figure? No. It takes away from the collection as looking like a proper scaled collection. Again, that is a problem I had with Bandai. Bandai scale was all over the place, and you couldn't really have a proper collection when it came to the figures. Now we're having that with Hasbro here. I mean, come on, man. This is something that I'm really upset about. And again, maybe I'm ranting too much, but that shows you how much I care about this line, and I want this line to flourish. And if they're gonna do stupid crap like this, it's gonna kill it for me. I'm not gonna want to collect these figures if they're gonna lack paint and the scale's gonna be off and all these other things. So that's something that's gonna add up and add up and add up, and they're gonna kill the Power Rangers line. Seriously, like that's something I'm already like, I don't want them to, because I love these figures and I love this line. But man, come on, man. I'm just so mad about that. He's way too big, and maybe I'm just being a complete bitch about it, and I don't even care, because that's honestly how I feel. With those issues aside, he still looks like an awesome figure, and I still think he's a lot of fun. Okay, so now let's talk his accessories here. So we do get interchangeable hands. You got this really nice open palm hand, like a clawing hand, which looks really nice. We got a gripping hand right here. We also do got an open clawed hand like that for that side, and then we do get a closed-fisted hand for the left side like that, which is really good. So those all look really nice. We do get his staff weapon right here, which is really cool. So I love the way this looks with the blue wrap, the blue handle, and then the yellow hook right here at the edge. Looks really, really nice. We also do get this effect piece, which is so cool. I love that the Lightning Collection gives us these really nice effects for all the different figures. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this from Hasbro. I think this is really, really cool. Now for this, you do kind of have to like weave this through. It's kind of tricky, so you could like go through here and then like that, and then wrap this around the hook like so, like this, and then maybe wrap that around like that. So, and you can come up with something that'll fit for this like that, and then you can have him like so, something like that. So that's probably totally wrong, but anyways, still very cool. I love that, and it will hold in the hands very nicely. So I think it's really cool. And I guess you want to count the wings as accessories, because you do have to put those on separately, and you can take them off. He doesn't come with a lot of stuff, but I mean, he doesn't really need a lot of stuff. So still, this is still really cool, and I think adds to the fun factor of this figure. Okay, so now let's check out his articulation here. So the head is on a ball joint, rolls around a little bit. You're mostly going to get left and right. Luckily, these flaps right here from the headpiece don't really hinder it all that much, so you can get a lot of good motion there. Up and down a tiny bit, and a little side to side, not a whole lot. Arms can go full 360 out here like this. These arms, man, I'm having issues with these, because you can go up, but they don't stay up. They kind of just, see how they kind of just fold it back down like that. There's no ratchet joiner like that, and I feel like these shoulder pads are preventing them from going all the way up as like I would like. So not very good right there. So rotation at the bicep. We got double jointed elbows that work very nicely. Rotation at the wrist, as well as a hinge at the wrist. We get a ball peg in the midsection, so that rolls around very nicely. Pivot side to side, crunches back and forth, and turns left and right, as well as an actual ab crunch that allows you to go forward that far, back about that much. So very nice, good motion there. We got hip joints that kick forward that far, back about that much, splits all the way out, rotation in that upper thigh. We got double jointed knees that bend very nicely, so that's really good too. We do get a separate ankle joint that allows this to rotate like that, as well as an ankle joint at the very bottom, so you can go up and down, and a very good ankle rocker. The tail itself is on a ball peg, so this rolls around. I kind of wish this was a bendy wire, but still having this, being able to rotate and move around, still very nicely. And then the wings can go up and down and flap like bird wings, so that's really cool, so I love that. So, overall, is this a bad figure? I don't think it's a bad figure at all. I think it's a pretty decent figure, with the exception of the lack of paint. I'm right there with you guys. That should not be a problem. I still think he's really cool, and I definitely still think this is the best King Sphinx figure that we've ever received. But man, honestly, the size thing for me, that's my biggest issue. And maybe you're fine with that. Maybe you're totally okay with him being this big monstrous figure. That's totally fine. But for me, it's inaccurate. It doesn't scale properly. It dwarfs Goldar when they should be like the exact same size. That for me is an issue that it's a big problem for me. Scale for me is a big factor when it comes to a specific line. And it's just not in scale. That's just the bottom line. He's still cool. He still looks great. The articulation works very well. I do love his interchangeable parts and accessories. Other than those things, other than my issues, I should say, I still think he's a pretty nice figure, and I can see people passing, and I can see him definitely being a must-get for some people. So for a quick size comparison, here he is sitting next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and NECA Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is sitting next to a Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Pink and Black Rangers. And for even more comparison, here he is standing next to the Lightning Collection Goldar and Pumpkin Rapper. And just for fun, here he is with little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of King Sphinx. Now overall, is he a cool figure? Yeah, he's a cool figure. I think the sculpt is super detailed. I love his weapon and effect piece. The wings are really nice, and for the most part the paint and articulation are very cool too. Now, the lack of paint in the face really messes it up for me, as it almost doesn't even look like the same character. It really throws off the facial features, which is super important in my opinion. Now, the scale is one thing that just upsets me the most. He is way too big, and I almost regret purchasing him because he doesn't even feel like he's in the same line as the rest of the Lightning Collection because his size is so off. He should have been the same size as Goldar. I mean, when you see the battle between Sphinx and the Red Ranger, they're almost eye to eye, so I'm not sure why they went to this big scale. My only idea is that they wanted to charge a deluxe price for him, which in my opinion is ridiculous and not right. So hopefully down the line, I hope they scale him down to make him a proper size, because that would be better for me. Now, if none of these things bother you, totally understandable. But for me, it really hurts my appreciation for this figure, especially him being one of my all-time favorite villains from Power Rangers. I was so excited about this, but having him in hand and seeing how he scales and the lack of paint just really ruins it for me. Now, I might be complaining too much, but still, that's how I genuinely feel. If you don't have these issues, then I think you would absolutely love him as a standalone figure. He, in that aspect, without those issues, is awesome and a definite must-get. So please comment, like, and subscribe. Stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.
The world is very lucky to have you, and so am I. May the power protect you, always.